I wake up several times at night from pain, but also from nightmares. My nightmares include being left at the scene, abandoned at the scene, screaming for help when you weren't there.
In Tampa, Florida, the conclusion of a tragic case brought a semblance of closure to the families affected by a devastating drunk driving crash that occurred 2 years prior. Amber Pereira faced judgment for her actions, which resulted in the loss of the Felipek family, Louise, Rita, and their 8-year-old daughter Georgia, on the Selman Expressway. The case centered around the horrific incident where Amber Pereira, driving under the influence on the Selman Expressway, collided with the vehicle carrying the Felipek family, resulting in their untimely deaths. Pereira's defense claimed a seizure led to the crash, but evidence and prosecutors pointed to intoxication as the cause.
You've taken everything from us. You can't give it back. And nor will you ever give it back. I can't forgive you. There is no forgiveness for this.
The sentencing elicited a range of emotions, from the palpable grief of Michael Serrani, who found it too difficult to continue his testimony.
I can't do this anymore. I need to end. Absolutely. Sorry. Thank you.
To the somber satisfaction of Tracy Kelly, who found a measure of closure in knowing Pereira would face a long prison term.
Knowing that she has now lost her life and that she will spend her days in pain, just her not being happy every day brings joy to me.
The 50-year sentence handed to Amber Pereira closes a chapter on a case that has lingered in the hearts and minds of the Tampa community.
This is a very serious case. Yes, ma'am, your life is ruined, but you also ruined a lot of lives and ended 3 lives.
After emotional testimonies and legal deliberation, Judge Christopher Sabella sentenced Pereira to 50 years in prison, reflecting the severity of the consequences of her actions.
There isn't anything that will ever fill this empty hole in my soul. I wish this really was just a nightmare, because then we could all just wake up.
You're an ugly, heartless, cold monster, and that's all you'll ever be.
In a Santa Ana courtroom, a deeply emotional sentencing unfolded as Bonnie Duarte, a 29-year-old woman from San Clemente, faced the consequences of a devastating DUI crash in Huntington Beach in 2018. The crash tragically ended the lives of 3 Las Vegas teenagers and left a 4th with severe injuries, marking a somber chapter for all involved. The tragic incident occurred in the early hours of March 29, 2018, when Duarte, driving a Hyundai Sonata, collided with a Toyota Corolla at a red light on Pacific Coast Highway and Magnolia Street in Huntington Beach. The impact was so severe that the Toyota was pushed into a pole and caught fire, leading to the death of the 3 teenagers and injuring the 4th occupant, Alexis Vargas. Duarte was convicted on 3 counts of second-degree murder and 1 count of driving under the influence causing great bodily injury. In court, Duarte faced her sentence and the heart-wrenching impact statements from the victims' friends and families, as well as statements in her defense, pleading for leniency.
She had no regard for human life or regard for the effects it could have on others. She knew about Uber and Lyft, but she chose to drive twice that night.
I wasn't in the right state of mind mentally and emotionally. I didn't think further into the consequences. I just want to say that I'm truly sorry, and maybe one day you will forgive me.
Judge Gary Pereira sentenced Duarte to 51 years to life in state prison, reflecting the gravity of the consequences of her actions.
I'm sorry for the pain that it caused your family, and I'm sorry for the pain that it caused my family. And everybody that cares about me.
In Miami-Dade, Florida, a courtroom scene unfolded as 26-year-old Jessica Araujo faced sentencing for DUI manslaughter, an offense stemming from a fatal crash last April that claimed the life of 48-year-old Naji El-Kadi. Araujo's impaired driving led to a tragic accident in southwest Miami-Dade, where she ran a red light and collided with El-Kadi's Toyota, resulting in his untimely death. On the night of her arrest, Araujo's blood alcohol level was nearly 3 times the legal limit, compounded by the presence of marijuana and cocaine, leading to her aggressive behavior towards police and hospital workers. During the sentencing hearing, Araujo's defense requested leniency, highlighting her struggle with addiction and her potential for positive contributions outside of prison. Emotional testimonies from Araujo's family and friends painted a picture of her character and the remorse she feels. However, Judge Richard Hirsch, acknowledging Araujo's remorse, adhered to the minimum sentencing guidelines, imposing a sentence of 10.5 years in prison followed by 9 years of probation.
I do not doubt for a second your remorse and how you feel right now.
Araujo's sentence includes 500 hours of community service and mandatory attendance at Alcoholics Anonymous meetings as part of her probation. Elcudi's widow expressed satisfaction with the sentence, marking a somber resolution to a case that highlights the devastating impact of DUI offenses.
To get behind the wheel and drive drunk and high has caused this tragedy that never should have happened.
Today, Araujo is incarcerated at the Florida Department of Corrections facility.
So your actions that night took my partner, my world, my everything!
Driving 109 miles an hour on the 163 where the speed limit is 55.
In San Diego, a tragic incident involving a DUI-related crash resulted in a significant prison sentence for 22-year-old Alandra Marquez. The crash, which occurred in the Balboa Park area on March 23, 2019, led to the death of 40-year-old Zhao Pham and seriously injured his friend, Andy Lin. The collision took place after Pham and Lin, visiting from San Francisco for a wedding, left a Hillcrest bar in a Lyft. Marquez, who had been at the same bar, chose to drive her Lexus despite having transportation apps and friends advising against it. Her reckless decision to drive at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour resulted in a catastrophic crash on State Route 163, near Laurel Street, that had fatal and life-altering consequences.
An accident is something that's not avoidable. This was avoidable.
During her sentencing hearing, Marquez received a prison term of 13 years and 4 months after pleading guilty to gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated and DUI causing injury.
Although I don't remember, I realized that I really messed up. Clearly, I took someone's life, unfortunately. I just want you guys to know that I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm sorry. I know you guys are hurting.
In the aftermath of the trial, Marquez was given the maximum sentence and now resides at the Western Region Detention Facility.
She had so much to live for. She had dreams of being married, dreams of having children.
In a solemn courtroom in Livingston County, Michigan, Matthew Jordan Carrier faced the consequences of his actions in a tragic incident that claimed 5 lives in Osceola Township. At just 22 years old, Carrier was sentenced to a substantial prison term for his role in a devastating crash fueled by reckless driving and intoxication. On a fateful night, Carrier, driving under the influence with a BAC of .15, disregarded a stop sign at the intersection of M59 and Argentine Road, propelling his vehicle at approximately 100 miles per hour into another car. The collision resulted in the death of 5 individuals, including 2 passengers in Carrier's car and 3 occupants of the other vehicle, among them Candace Dunn, a probation agent celebrated for her service just earlier that night.
Everyone wants to say that this was a mistake by a young kid. I don't believe that. Your record speaks for itself. This isn't the first time you've driven drunk. And because of that, I'm sure that you were educated on drunk driving.
In court, Carrier faced 19 charges, including 5 counts each of second-degree murder and operating while intoxicated causing death. His no-contest plea, attributed to his claimed lack of memory due to intoxication, did not lessen the impact of the victim impact statements that filled the courtroom with grief and calls for justice.
As for my actions on May 9th last year, I just ask that that moment not be frozen in time. By that, I mean this mistake and others I've made is not how I hope to be remembered.
Ultimately, Judge Hattie sentenced Carrier to 32 to 60 years in prison, a term reflecting the severity of the loss and the reckless disregard for human life exhibited by his actions.
Thanks for watching. We hope that you found this information both informative and engaging. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss a new video.